Hi everyone, Stefan here with Bohemian Tales, and if you're new to the channel, I travel and I work and I make videos in my self-built camper van Ganapati. In today's video, I thought I would talk about stealth camping. In this episode, I'm going to concentrate more on city stealth camping rather than camping in the woods or in dispersed areas. When you're in the cities, some areas have stricter rules than others. During the winter, I am actually usually close to my family's homes and stuff like that, so I basically have my own spots that I camp. But today, I'm actually going to go and find a different spot that I've never been in. It's not gonna be familiar at all. It is in the same area, but I've just never camped there before. So let me show you how I do it. The idea of making your van stealthy could be argued. The truth is that van life is becoming more and more popular, which means in neighborhoods or just anywhere, people will notice camper vans more often now. For example, if your van has a roof vent and it has solars, it's already a dead giveaway that it is a living space or a camper van, that somebody lives there. If it has an awning and all that stuff and a roof rack, it's definitely very apparent. However, don't let that discourage you, because the importance of stealth camping is actually not how your vehicle looks like. I mean, you can be driving an RV down the road and you can park it on a city street or a neighborhood street. You just have to make sure that the van looks vacant. If somebody sees it from outside, yeah, they see it's a camper van, but for all they know, you're just visiting somebody down the street in a house. You're not necessarily in the van overnight. Here are some basic rules that I follow when I'm stealth camping in the city. Number one, I try to get to the spot after dark and leave first thing in the morning, preferably before 6:30 or 7 a.m. in the morning is the latest. That's kind of pushing it. And because of that, nobody really realizes that I parked there overnight. You know, some people do jog at night, some people jog earlier in the morning. However, I leave pretty early before anybody else goes to work. Another rule is that when I park somewhere, I don't park again in the same spot for at least 1 week. So I do have spots that I circulate or find or look for, so that way I'm not in the same spot 2 nights in a row, or even like one night and then I go somewhere else and then come back the other night. I give it enough space where you don't really pay attention to the van. That's what usually happens. If you're sitting in a spot too long, then people start noticing your van, and then they start wondering, hey, what's going on? Is somebody living in there? You know, they're in our neighborhood. So the basic rule of thumb is just keep on moving and, you know, park at night and leave early in the morning. Even if I were to come back to that same area on the street a week later, I still don't try to park exactly in the same spot that I was parked a week earlier. I try to move down or up the street just to mix it up. Okay, this is an important one. If I were to park in a residential neighborhood, which I really don't recommend, I definitely stay away from those cul-de-sacs, only because, come on, people know their neighbors, you know, they've been living there for a while, they kind of know what they drive. So if you go in one of those places, they're gonna really see your van, especially being a big vehicle, you know, and especially more than one night. Like I said, in neighborhoods, people have their hobbies or their routines where they'll wake up really early in the morning, right before 6 o'clock, and start jogging, because after that they have to get ready to go to work. Late at night, they might be walking their dog at 10 o'clock at night or something, you know, whatever it is. And parking in a cul-de-sac, like I said, they know their neighbors, so if they can call them up, it's like, hey, did you get a new van or something? What's going on with this van across the street? Or, you know, is it yours? Is it somebody visiting your house? More likely they will call the authorities. So stay away from cul-de-sacs, especially because people do know their neighbors there. Another important rule, I feel like they're all important in my opinion, is I do go and drive around and kind of see the spot that I would need to go back to later at night. So during the day, I spend my day doing my own thing, do my errands, or, you know, chill by a park or something like that. But I do go before the dark just to kind of figure out where my parking for the night would be. When I do that, I also look for the street signs. There's a lot of signs, including meters, that have posted on them where you can park for free after 7 p.m. and then before 7 a.m. or something like that, which falls in the same category if you live before 7 a.m., which most signs really start early. You know, they might start at 8 a.m., but before 7 a.m. you also avoid the rules that the street might have, like be it a 2-hour parking or a meter parking. I do make sure I look at all the signs. You know, I also watch out for stuff that, hey, you can't overnight park here, or, you know, anything that might be posted on the street. With that being said, I did live in New York City and I did have a camper van there, and a block could have different signs on the same street. So that's a little bit harder. Definitely read the signs. So what I mean, a section would have, you know, up to here you can park, then in this section you can't park because it's reserved for school personnel or something like that, you know, and then there's another section that you can park. And with that being said as well, don't park near schools. It's just creepy. Don't do it. Try to stay away from overnight parking near parks as well, because again, the same thing. Look at the signs and just make sure that it's okay to park there, and realize that after some time then you may be allowed to park without paying or without being limited with the 2 hours, but you have to leave before that time. For the signs, they usually have something like from 7 a.m. to, let's say, 6 p.m. it's a 2-hour parking. Means that if you show up at 4 p.m., that's a little early, but if you do show up at 4 p.m., after 4 p.m. nobody's gonna check, because at 6 p.m. is the 2-hour window. And in the morning, again, I like to arrive after, much later than that time, and then, you know, leave before 6:30 if I can. Definitely before 7 a.m. This is another important rule, and this also applies in campgrounds or dispersed camping. Be respectful. I don't leave trash, I don't slam doors, I obviously don't make a lot of noise. Basic etiquette, you know, just to be respectful. And that way, if you're stealth camping on the street, you don't give van lifers a bad name. That's another thing that most of us need to realize. If we get a bad name, then it's just much harder to stealth camp and, you know, do our own thing if people think of us as like, hey, like they leave trash on the street, or, you know, their vans are an eyesore, they stay too long, stuff like that. So be mindful where you are. I usually park, I'll watch some stuff that I downloaded on my iPad and go to sleep. You know, I don't make a lot of noise. I don't cook a lot. I don't want my van to give our sense that it smells like a taco truck or something. I love taco trucks. However, you don't want your van to smell like one at night when somebody like walks by and you're cooking in there a completed dinner. So I usually just have my dinners, like snacks and stuff like that I can just eat without having to cook. I make tea at night, and I do keep an eye on the tea kettle so it doesn't whistle. That really puts me to sleep. My lights do stay on, but it's just these Stinko lights that I have here, and they're dimmable. And I'll show you later, because I have window coverings plus the curtain in the front. You can't really see there's a light in here, and obviously you can't really see anything. It basically looks like a vacant van. If I watch anything on my iPad or my iPhone or all that stuff, I usually use some sort of headsets. That way it doesn't make any noise, I'm just watching. When I usually pull up to the spot, I have everything ready and set to go. So basically all the window covers are done. The curtain in the front is pulled, so all I do is like park, jump in the back, without the lights on, make sure the curtain is set so like no light goes through, then I'll turn the lights back on, and like I said, I dim them, they're not too full, and then I just go to sleep really. Now this is the argument that I have with the whole stealth camping situation. For the most part, I know this firsthand, if you do move every day, like you come in at night, leave early in the morning, don't come back for a while, even if there's noise in the van, obviously no tap dancing or anything like that. But if people like here, they don't really think much of it as long as you're out in the morning, you know what I mean? People usually have their own things in their life that they worry about, you know. For the most part, they won't even look twice again if you're in for just the one night. The more you stay at a place, the more you're gonna get seen, basically. Even though I have this big vent here, if I were to prop it open, I prop it open very little. That way it's kind of hard to tell if somebody's trying to ventilate or anything like that. I also have the smaller vent in the front, so if I prop that open a little bit, you can definitely not tell that there's somebody in there. To get some air circulation, and I always like to have something open so I can always have access to oxygen. Right away, as you can see, there are some apartment buildings on the side, and they have one level, so if I were to park here overnight, they can kind of see that it's a camper van if it's in their bedroom. However, on this side though, it's just an industrial area, or it's a mall, but it's the back of the mall, which is pretty good. And what's nice about this street is that it's kind of a private street or a residential street. It's one of those streets that's between residential and, you know, kind of public, because there's no residents on that side. It's just a outside mall. And then there's a wall here from this residence. I believe they do have openings that they can walk out. What I'm trying to get to is that at night, this might not be as trafficked as bigger streets. So this would be a good option on that side. However, if you see there's no cars on that side, which means I would stand out pretty well. So let's keep on looking. The cool thing about this, there are no signs. There's no signs that say anything. No overnight parking, no, you know, there's of course signs for a crosswalk and stuff like that. All right, so let's keep on looking. This would also be a great spot, but as soon as I see another van lifer or a potential van lifer, I do not park here either. So you see, for example, this is a highway where basically most of the people that go to the beach park. I don't like to park on this, especially overnight, because it's always noisy and there's always a lot of traffic. And you can see how close the cars are to the actual lane that I'm on. That could be a viable option though, if you just don't want to be in a neighborhood at all, or that's the only option that you have to pull aside. But remember, it's gonna be noisy the whole time. So right now we're in a smaller neighborhood as well, just to show you guys. This is a dog park slash, you know, play park. And it would be viable here because on the right side there's just businesses and nothing to see. But if I were to park here overnight, I would probably go ahead here because there's a big fence here and there's a lot of trees so people can't see me. However, you have to remember that in the morning and at night people will use that dog park to take their dogs for a walk. But that would be a place that I would consider parking for one night. There's permit only for 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. So basically overnight, you cannot park here. They actually have a permit for this neighborhood because they don't want anybody else parking in their neighborhood. Great viable option right here. It's pretty leveled. To the right, there are businesses. You see over there, that's a meter. So basically we have businesses on the right, and then we have the apartment buildings on the left, which technically from across the way they can tell, or they can look and see your solar panels or vent, whatever you have, if you have anything like that. But you're not on their side, you're just on the right side here, and for most likely you're not gonna have any problems. And let's see what the meter says. Let's see what the hours are at the meter. There you have it, guys. So it says a 3-hour parking limit until 7 p.m. Meters enforced every day 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. That means after 7 p.m. until next day 8 a.m. you do not have to pay. and there are no signs on the street that say anything about overnight parking. That right there is a prime spot to park overnight after 7 p.m. Obviously, it's perfect because if you come after 7 p.m., it's dark enough. You can sleep in. I mean, you have like 13 hours to sleep in if you need to. It's perfect because there are no signs that says no overnight parking, and it's free. So nobody's gonna check to see if your meter is working or not until 8 a.m. After 8 a.m. or before 8 a.m., you need to leave because after they start checking the meters, and obviously it's just good practice. That I consider this to be a perfect spot for me to camp for the night. You know, it's not very far away from the beach. I can cross the street ahead of me and be at the beach in like 2 minutes, come back, you know, and then park at the spot after I get everything ready for the night. We're just making a right here on the street, and it's basically the same thing. As you can see on the right there are businesses, and then we have these meters which are the same thing. On the left here we have businesses, so this is even better than the other one. Again, it's pretty leveled, a great option to be able to park for the night. Here, even though there's houses, they have fences, and it's kind of an avenue. It's not too big, it's not too small, so it's not necessarily in the neighborhood itself. On the left we have businesses, and see what that sign says there. If you can see that, it says 2-hour parking from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. So technically, if you show up at 4 p.m. or a little bit after 4, you're good to go until 9 a.m. Nobody's gonna check for 2 hours anymore after 4, basically. So this is also a great option. This is something that I would use. All the 3 places are a great option. This is a very good option because you have longer to stay if you want. However, I would not park right at 4 p.m. You know, I would come in later. So that's it, guys. That's what I've discovered here. I hope it's informational. Here's what is a very big no-no. This is the reason why the city gets called. You see all these camper vans here? If you see that, don't that's what makes the city put signs up. There's another one here. So as you guys can see from the outside, this is the windshield. You can't really tell there's anything inside. I'm walking around the whole van in the back. Obviously nothing on that side. You can hear the heater, but I'm just filming this for you guys. So if I open the door, so you can see there's light in here, but from the outside you can't really tell anything, except I had the heater going because I'm gonna go park somewhere else for tonight. So yeah, that's how stealth camping is, and you saw how it looks like at night for my van from the outside. If I missed any tips that you can think of, you can leave them in the comments below. That'll help everybody in the community. I hope this video was helpful, especially to the new van life people that are just starting and kind of need an idea to how to stealth camp and, you know, just kind of ease into it. I hope we all have a better 2022. And if you're interested in more van life related content, there's links everywhere. Alright, I'll see you in the next video.